Welcome to Something to Talk About from the Bainbridge Island Senior Community Center. Happy to have you here today. Tom Hansen with the BI Photo Club will be with us momentarily. We're going to talk about a show that he has been sharing in our lobby, our atrium area, inspired by the movie The Way. It's a little walk through northern Spain and Portugal. Well, a walk in a bus, and he'll tell us more in a minute. But first, I want to thank Fieldstone Communities of Bainbridge Island for sponsoring Something to Talk About. They offer independent living, assisted living, and they have a vibrant memory care community. They're located on Rolling Bay. You can find out more about what they have to offer and even take a tour and enjoy a free meal by calling Celia or Jamie. The number is 206-594-1010, or check out their website, fieldstonecommunities.com. I want to thank you, Tom, for agreeing to come today and tell us a little bit about the trip and the photos that you collected while you were out exploring Spain and Portugal.
Yeah, I got hooked on The Way. It was a really nice thing. It's if you haven't seen the movie, it's worth watching. Basically, Martin Sheen had lost his son who had started The Way, and he wanted to complete it, and it was an act of healing. I didn't particularly have anything I needed to be healed for, or whatever, forgiveness or anything like that, except I did take way too many photos. At the end of I got 4,000, and I'm still wading through them, but I did narrow it down to about 20 to put on the thing, and 30 for the online piece for a little bit of lagniappe. That's a little extra for those people who've never been to New Orleans. It was really interesting. And so, you have to basically walk at least 100 kilometers and stop by and get your passport stamped by, various people and stuff like that. Well, I probably walked 5 kilometers in the woods in the wilderness, but walked a lot through town, and every day it was about probably 5 to 7 miles of walking. And then we took a lot of buses in between and stopped at a lot of hotels, restaurants, and bars to basically get my passport stamped and stuff. So it was really good, and I really wanted to go because it was an excellent photography opportunity. So let's kind of start in with the first image, and we started in Bilbao. And the first day of the tour, it was a small group tour. We only had 16 people. But when we got to Bilbao, there were 1.2 million people extra in town that day, because they had just won the Spanish King's Cup. And basically, it was a party for about 24 hours and whatnot. So the whole plan was we were going to do a day tour of, walk around the city of Bilbao with all of the, and go to the Guggenheim, and with all of these extra people. We had a Basque guide named Franz, and basically, excellent guide. But we were walking around with all these people, and we were walking through the very old section of town, and it happened on this lady and her Bilbao lion. And I said, okay, I was really just struggling to capture this because, we're moving. It was just a quick shot and whatnot. And I just loved it. I took a gazillion photos that day of all the people and put it together in a video. I think it's on your website with maybe in January or whatever, because I got a Northwest Camera Club place in their photo essay video contests and stuff. But this was just really a lucky shot, and kind of expresses that spirit that everybody had. Okay,
and she's they're both, I guess, wearing team gear, right?
Team gear, yes, team gear. everybody was wearing team gear. My wife actually ended up finding a scarf and got a picture, and some hunky guy was giving her a hug, and there was lots of alcohol involved. So on that day, one of the things that we did was go to the Guggenheim, and this is not on the wall, but I had it's like Bilbao, you have to put something in from the Guggenheim. And there's a theory that says the outside is more impressive than the inside, but that's not really true. It was interesting. And what I did with this picture, it's basically, there was this girl that was, taking a picture of a minimalist photo. And so it's really kind of that, photographing minimalism that I picked that, and it was originally color, which is nice light blue, but the dark, making this a black and white, it makes it just sing a little bit more. So, minimalism is a type of photography that I'm interested in, and it's also one of our themes for this year. So, it's kind of a cool shot.
Oh, it's wonderful. And I love the, you have a few strong lines, like her pant legs and along the wall, but otherwise it just sort of fades out into a marine layer.
Yeah.
It's really cool. You'll be submitting that for our minimal.
No,
right?
no, I'm not.
Oh, you're not. Okay.
No, I have other ones.
You have others. Okay. All right.
Guernatia. This is a modern Guernatia. For those of you, part of this tour is Overseas Adventure. You talk about controversial subjects. And basically, the controversial subject in northern Spain is Franco and the Spanish-American War, and particularly the Nazi support of the Spanish-American War that particularly took its toll on Guernatia. And basically that's where the Blitzkrieg was basically tested with the Luftwaffe. And this led to a painting by Pablo Picasso. And this is just a reproduction of mural that's in the city.
Yeah, I think the painting is actually in Madrid, right?
It's actually in Madrid and stuff like that. It shows all these tortured scenes from that bombing and stuff like that. When we got there, there was a group of students that were there, and they were kind of photobombing stuff and whatnot. But this guy was kind of like was left kind of there or kind of hanging out there, and I said, there you have a modern Guernatia, a tortured student who's in kind of a tortured thing, in with that that wonderful painting and mural. And so yeah, they cleared out, and our group got in and ruined the photos for somebody else. This is a little iPhone shot that I grabbed, and it's just kind of a street scene, but there's a really big story kind of behind this. I've titled this Homeward Bound for Prisoners and Exiles. And basically, when you think about northern Spain, a lot of people wouldn't go there. And the reason was it was a scene of a significant amount of terrorist activity. Basically, the Basque conflict was an armed and political conflict that went from 1959 to 2011. Okay, basically they were seeking independence from the Spanish government. Part of it stems from the Spanish-American War. They definitely were not on Franco's side and whatnot, and they kind of are. It's kind of, they're more Spanish and French. It's kind of a unique blend of language and culture, because basically Spain wasn't at one time wasn't totally united, and there were just lots of separate kingdoms, and they basically have wanted to keep that independence. And basically at the peak, there were about 762 exiles and prisoners that basically were stuck somewhere, either out of the country or in prisons. And this little symbol of the two arrows kind of coming together basically is that symbol to bring people back. And somebody, I just got a person there that to make it a little bit more interesting, from a street photography standpoint.
So again, the title that you gave this
is Homeward Bound for Prisoners and Exiles. This is a little beach pavilion in San Sebastian. It's a beautiful city along the Bay of Biscayne that attracted the elite. It's got world-class cuisine, stunning scenery, its beaches, restaurants, and attraction make it the perfect luxury beach location, and a foodie trip and a cultural experience. We had a beautiful day, went walking by the beach. And it was really nice, lots of sunbathers. And this beach pavilion basically was kind of this old, really cool kind of architecture that kind of, is very typical of, that whole beach front and stuff like that. And one of the things that had lots of things to reflect on the sunbathers and stuff, in a discreet way.
Yeah.
In a discreet way.
But it also, I mean, it's great because you have all the color here centered in the middle of the photograph.
Yeah. And it was kind of cool. And it was just a really nice kind of walk. In the town itself, there was this cathedral. Yeah, let's go to the next one. There was the cathedral in San Sebastian. There was this kind of really nifty modern sculpture, and I've titled this Embracing Modern Art, Religious Art. And basically I had a couple that were kind of entwined that I caught in shadow, and basically kind of trying to replicate form function to replicate kind of that mass, and that's in the middle and stuff like that. I did show this one. I think I forgot what one of our themes. I did show this one. That's kind of a cool thing. I've added some texture in the background to make it kind of a little bit more dynamic and stuff like that. But it was just a cool shot.
So when you say texture in the background, you mean you brought out
brought out, and I kind of put a layer of something that kind of really made the stuff really stick out.
The bricks and so forth.
Bricks and stuff.
Okay, yeah.
I find this interesting because it's just this modern piece framed by this really traditional.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting combination.
Now we really get to the walking the Camino, and this is entitled Pilgrim's Progress. This is our group. I was hanging back, and I saw this beautiful shadow on the little chapel kind of the start. This is like a major kind of a starting place along the Camino, and it basically is it's right at a pass called Roncesvalles Pass. In 1778, there was a major battle here between where a large force of Basques ambushed Charlemagne's army, and it's a high pass that in the Pyrenees. Basically, there's a famous poem or ode or whatever, the Song of Roland, from the 11th century that was basically, talked about the Frankish military Roland and this battle. I think, remember not reading this. I think our teacher in 5th grade read this book, and it was kind of like El Cid and all that kind of stuff. So it started this going back to relearning all those things that I learned in grade school about Spain and Portugal. So it was interesting. But so beautiful pass, and I have lots of photographs of the pass itself, and remember. But this really starts this it's a major part of the French way in Spain, and the whole idea of the pilgrimage of the Camino is basically going to this church in Santiago de Compostela in Galicia in northern Spain that basically has the remains of Apostle James. Basically he got there, the body got there in a cement boat, and they was there. Somebody discovered it, sold it, and basically started all these pilgrimages, which were a major factor in the Middle Ages and stuff like that. It was just a cool starting place. The clouds were beautiful, and
this was one of the days you walked.
Yeah, this was the main day of walking, and we walked down to this little town and stuff. And there's a number of other pictures that come to that, but that's kind of the start. And it was a beautiful journey through the woods and stuff.
All right, and nice image there.
Yeah. Kind of about the end of our walk, we kind of stopped at this little kind of chapel or cross that was kind of in the way, and it's kind of a little area to sit down. When I sat down, I noticed this. Okay, somebody had left this little artifact of devotion, and that's what I've titled it's a pilgrim's artifact of devotion. It's kind of a lost and found situation, and it's solo Deus, and basically that means God alone or only God, which was, and I didn't know that, but when I Googled it and I was in northern Spain, basically I got the first Google hit was referring to Allah, which is really interesting. When I got back and was trying to put this together, I Googled it again. I didn't get that hit. So it's kind of an interesting, but it works, God alone.
Yep.
Yorick, I knew him well. Horatio from Hamlet, a fellow of infinite jest and most excellent fancy.
And who is this with our modern version of Yorick?
Oh yeah, it gets better. But this is her name is Emma, and she is a archaeologist. Okay, so let's really get into what Yorick is all about. Let's go to the next picture here. First I want to talk about the technique using collages. You take lots of pictures and travel, and using collages allow you to take all those pictures, put them into one, because people don't like to see a lot of pictures, but they like the stories, but they don't like a lot of the images. So you put them all in one, and basically now you've got a real story that you can tell, and around this whole thing. And there's Emma. This little church is the Santa Maria de Roncesvalles. And in the Middle Ages, basically, this was the favorite resting place for the pilgrims on the French Way path. And basically, it was a pilgrim hospice. It was built around the 12th and the beginning of the 13th centuries. It is the oldest chapel, or it's also called Charlemagne's Silo. And so this archaeology group is, there's a kind of an there's like this ossuary, where basically people are buried and it's just a bunch of bones. They're actually doing excavation on that and studying, trying to figure out, well, did the people die from disease? Were they part of Charlemagne's, the battle, or were they just pilgrims and stuff like that? So basically, they've got a grant from the government, and hopefully they keep funded, and basically they're going through this. So we got this whole lecture on, forensic archaeology and stuff. As you can see, all the bones and the skulls and the boxes and boxes of stuff. And we got a lunch, and we got to sit down and have a really nice discussion with the folks at the center and stuff. We each had an archaeologist at our table, and it was
Nice.
very, very interesting.
I'm sure. That sounds fascinating. Here's a little more Picasso.
A little more Picasso, and I titled this The Walking of the Bulls, and this is from Pamplona, okay? We had a guide who had actually run with the bulls 17 times, and the last time he ran, he got severely gored and had, significant, like brain, damage, that he had to recover from. So his wife made him give it up. And so now he's a guide. And so we were, walking down, this is the street that all the bulls go down. And, and they have all these really nifty, steel doors because the bulls, but they're all painted up with nifty things on it. And so I saw somebody walking by, and I took that quick shot. And it's my street photography coming out, but it captures the essence of that whole thing.
And since we're on the Camino, there's somebody pacing us off, keeping moving. There you go.
Everywhere you go, this is basically a stork nest and stuff. And there are stork nests all over the place. And this happens to be my best example of one. I think it was in Pamplona or some town near there that we had gone to. Yeah, it was just kind of a neat building and stork nests.
So we're looking at the nests that are on the top of that edifice, right?
Yep. Yeah, they migrate from Africa to northern Spain. And this is the Leon Cathedral. I was taking a big risk here. You're not supposed to photograph children in Spain, but this is an architectural.
That's right. They just happened to be on top of those letters.
Yeah, they were photobombing my picture, but that actually is the picture. Just because it looks so good, because everywhere they had kids, they were always into something. If it was a fountain, it was a fountain, and whatnot. So yeah. And this is kind of a day in the life kind of adventure. We went to a goat and horse farm, and basically had to do a little bit of work, and we had to make some of our lunch, and we did some little projects around. And while we were there, this person was shoeing a horse. Interesting, these horses are really used for therapy with people that either have physical problems, could be mental, mental challenges or whatever. And basically, the guy who runs the place, actually the lady is the owner, and she runs the place, but the husband basically uh, does this whole horse therapy thing. And he was, they were showing what the horses were doing. One of our group was a demo to actually be on there as they put them in strange positions and they learn to trust and do all those kinds of different kinds of things. And
The horse looks very calm.
that horse is very calm. And this is this is called A River Runs Through It. And this was a little town that we went through, crossed over this bridge, and it was just a really nice kind of picture to bring out kind of the flow of the current. We ended up walking along this little stream for a way, and then we visited a beekeeper, basically. You probably have never heard of a guy in the Seattle area who has a kids TV program called Blippi. Blippi is really big among the preschoolers and stuff here in Seattle. But this guy would rival Blippi, and is the story of the bees. And he does a lot of stuff for Spanish TV and whatnot. But this little stream that was just a nice walk in the woods.
Yes, it's got such a great iridescent look to the foliage, and you can capture, I mean, even though it looks calm, there's some movement by the grasses in the water. It's a nice mixture of activity and solace.
Yeah, well, you can't have a show unless you show the star, and this is the Santiago de Compostela Cathedral and stuff like that, taken from a hill on, kind of overlooking it in a little park, it's just totally gorgeous. We spent a couple days there and walking around doing things, but I did at least include an architectural shot.
There you go. And it looks like a lot of clear days.
Yes, a lot of clear days. This is kind of a more meaningful thing about this little city and what people are. Here you have, this is basically a picking your career blindly. Okay, blindly picking your career. And obviously she has some help from her friends, okay, to basically guide her. And unfortunately, that guidance isn't working so well, and she's kind of missing the mark.
Well, we've all had careers that hit a brick wall. So,
but all the all of these little kids were turning themselves around blindfolding, and this little tree back there has all the kind of the disciplines, traditional kinds of disciplines that people, it was just really, really, really cute.
yeah, I think I can see art probably as one of them.
There's medicine in there and law and all, there's a whole bunch of things, but
Nice. Oh, and there we go. There's one of your compositions, collage.
Yeah, collage and stuff like that. And everybody's surprised and everybody's happy. And so it's just that totally joyous occasion. And another collage, and you got to have some food photography. And it was a tough pick for lunch. I think I had 3 of those. You always have to go with 3 and whatnot. But again, you take lots of pictures of food. Well, this is a good way to present it.
Yes, it looks mouth-watering.
Interesting. These tapas are these pinches, and these happen to be in northern Spain because of the Basque influence. They are pinches, and there are small snacks eaten in northern Spain and are lesser known internationally. And one of the key things about them is that they are on little skewers and toothpicks, and they and basically they are in bars and restaurants, and they're there because they're serving alcohol. where tapas are small plates of food served alongside beer and wine. That's kind of the standard, and so yeah, and yeah. This is an interesting. We went to this little fishing village, and it's in Cambaro, Spain, and they have all these Galatian stone crosses on their buildings. They're just all over the place, and basically the stone cross is a pardon from heaven, and it's because according to a great Galatian writer, stone crosses were built to obtain forgiveness for sin. And there are some, 12,000 stone crosses hanging around and stuff like that. They also put them on their granaries. And let's go to the next shot. And
Okay.
this is kind of, puts it in perspective of this really beautiful little coastal city. On the granaries, you have all these crosses, and it's just a picture with lots of beautiful colors and whatnot. Good place to eat lunch too.
Yeah, lovely mix of colors and textures, and obviously you've got the stone supports along there.
Yeah. And
along one of those walls, maybe.
no, this is in a different place, but this is I actually was in Spain in 1971 during Franco. And one of the things that basically you saw everywhere were people selling lottery tickets and the unzo. And again, there's still people all over the place selling lotto tickets. Normally they have them in little kiosks in the major cities, but here you have, your lotto and conversation, the local gossip, and basically, again, my street photography coming out saying, hey, let's get a nice unzo shot of a lotto seller. This is actually in the Douro Valley in Portugal. And we did a little river one day river cruise, actually a half a day. I think we spent the rest of the other half of the day at a winery drinking port. But the boat that we were on was the Tawny Port. So
okay, there you go.
But the Douro River is just beautiful. You have lots of reflections. The vineyards all up inside alongside the steep slopes and things like that.
Lovely.
Yeah, here was the other half of the day is the path between white and red port.
There we go.
Here
Beautiful.
we go.
Okay, and now this is an expansive shot.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if this was an iPhone or not. I don't think it was. It's just a pano view of the city of Porto, Portugal, from the bridge before you enter the city. In the left-hand corner, you have a whole street of wine warehouses, and you have lots of boats that cross that river for people to go over and visit those wine warehouses and do lots of sampling. On the other side, you have just lots of activity. And Porto is just a beautiful city, but it's kind of like downtown Seattle. There are cranes everywhere. It's just totally under construction, but it is an absolute beautiful city with lots to do.
And a crystal clear day to enjoy it.
You can see it didn't rain very much. And this is again in Porto. This is in the train station where they have these wonderful tiles, blue tiles, beautiful everywhere, just total, the ceiling everywhere. It's just incredible. And you hear this guy is the Superbach Christmas sweater guy. Okay. Basically, this guy's running around kind of a unhoused person, but he is everywhere and just doing his thing. And Superbach is a kind of a dark beer and whatnot, but he is wearing a Christmas sweater, and you see him everywhere.
I can't tell if I have screwed up the video.
I don't think no, I don't think
Okay,
so.
good. Okay, here's the next picture.
Didn't eat there, but this is the world's most impressive McDonald's. Just look, instead of a golden arches, you got a golden eagle. It has got a beautiful interior, and it is one busy place. They got security guards. It's so busy, but it is absolutely, totally. I think one of our members, Andy Bird, basically had posted something in his website about the McDonald's going in there and stuff. But I had to go in and I didn't buy anything.
Yeah, but there must have been some things that looked familiar, even though that certainly doesn't.
Not really. It didn't look like any McDonald's I've ever been in. This is a monastery courtyard. It is the Abbey of Saint Bartholomew. It's also known as the Abbey of Arouca. It's in Portugal. It's outside of Portugal. Actually, a monastery is, there it's like it's a generic term, but actually this was a convent. So we would normally refer to this as a convent, and basically it was a Cistercian monastery for women dating from the 10th century, and it was basically a place where they parked a lot of rich daughters and interesting, beautiful tiles inside, and tiles that you would not suspect of men, of dogs, and they had thoughts on their mind that you would not suspect.
All right, interesting. And what a placid thing this looks like. But
yeah, but one of the things that they do at all of these monasteries, and also even in Santiago, was they are like the nuns are cookie nuns. And so let's go to this next slide, and here you have a statue of the cookie nuns, and they show the kind of delicacies that they made, and basically they financed a lot of their activity by making sweets and stuff like that. And it was, these are all very good.
all right. Yes, I see the nun statue there, and then you walk in and there's all this great sweetery.
Yes. This is a sea salt farm in Aveiro, Portugal. We're kind of on our way heading to Lisbon. It's right by the sea, and they let the water in, and they make sea salt and stuff like that. And it was an interesting thing, and again, a very beautiful day, and lots of nice lines and
nice perspective. Yeah.
And did a lot of pictures where you're actually seeing how that salt is actually made, the evaporation and stuff like that. But this was a much better picture to get a sense of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like when we got to Bilbao, we had 1.2 million people. When we got to Lisbon, it was their 50th anniversary of the Carnation Revolution, which was on April 25th, and it was celebrating a military coup by military officers that overthrew the Estado Nova government in 1974, kind of their last dictator, and basically it was all done peacefully, with some lady walking up and sticking a carnation in some soldier's gun, and basically everybody was very, very happy. The celebration in Bilbao a lot of it was outside our hotel. The celebration here was outside our hotel, but it was very
Very colorful, packed streets. That's great.
Yeah, it
Nice.
took us a long time to get even close, and we had to walk, and the luggage did not show up for hours, but yeah. And this is kind of a a pano view of what Lisbon looks like with their castle and the beautiful colored homes and businesses and stuff like that. Just kind of put that in, to get a sense of what it looks like.
Yeah, where you are. Oh, that's nice.
Yes, this is it's called the Little Castle. And it basically, okay, just a second. Okay, this is the Bellum Tower or Little Castle, and basically it celebrates an expedition that was led by navigator Vasco da Gama, who established the maritime trade route between Portugal and India. And so the monument is also known as the Tower of Saint Vincent, and it honors Lisbon's patron saint. And it's right along the river that basically was a major embarkation and debarkation point for the explorers, and it's their gateway to exploring the world.
The world.
Yeah. The interesting thing is around there they have like all the plazas is a giant map with all the world.
Oh, interesting.
And all of the boats and the expeditions and things like that. So you're basically literally walking on your elementary or junior high, middle school history.
Yeah. I'll see you in the South Pacific.
And we learned a lot about Henry the Navigator.
Uh-huh.
Henry the Navigator would get seasick, and he never actually got on a ship. He just drew maps back home. And what is a photo exhibit without an intentional camera movement photo? And this gives you a sense of walking through a plaza in Lisbon with all the kind of the wavy tiles, the beautiful colors, the beautiful jack trees, the purple flowers and things like that. So had to put that one in.
That's really nice. I love ICM anyway, but it's really well done. And I like the fact that the woman in the center, she's sharper focus, and that's well done. I like that.
I have a similar one that's not ICM that really brings out the building, and basically it's done where it stops action of a lot of people just doing really nifty things, stops them in motion, and it's kind of cool.
So ICM, intentional camera movement.
Yes, this was shot like doing a zoom.
Right, I was going to ask. So you were you were taking the picture. You moved the magnification or the zoom.
And you usually put it on a really slow shutter speed, so it something will, whatever you're focusing will stay somewhat, intact, but everything else kind of just blurs.
But obviously they're all moving, so you have a limited time to do it.
Oh, yes. Usually I think a 30-second or something, I think. Diane, you're much better at that, but
It isn't 30 seconds. That would be awfully long. It's probably 2 or 3 seconds. I don't know, but
Yeah, she would be moving.
yeah,
At 30 seconds, she'd be
yeah,
a blur.
yeah,
Anyway, I like it too.
yeah.
And I think this
And
is the last one.
this is the last one, and this is, they have all these little kiosks over there around selling coffee and refreshments, because people are always, just kind of hanging around in these various squares. And I love the message, small places, big people. It kind of was that vibe that I was picking up, and
Thank you for taking us to all these places today. I really appreciate that, Tom. And thank you for sharing your photographs all month.
yeah, it's really a great experience.